How can a prayer be an abomination? Well, it's not the prayer, but rather a specific attitude behind it. This is Off the Cuff, and I'm Steve from TorahFamily.org. Let's talk about it. Okay, let's get right to it. No one wants to think their prayers aren't being heard, much less to be told their prayers are an abomination. The Bible tells us what makes prayers an abomination. You ready for it? Here it is. Proverbs 28:9. If one turns away his ear from hearing the law, even his prayer is an abomination. So, those who hear the law but reject the law, their prayers are an abomination. Regardless of their reasoning, regardless of their logic, doesn't matter. They reject it. In return, Yahweh considers their prayers an abomination. Now, many would say right here, "Oh, Steve, that's the Old Testament. That doesn't apply today." They say this all the while ignoring the verses that say the Torah is for all generations. And please note, in all these verses, they never say, until the Messiah comes, or until someone lives it out perfectly. No, they all say, for the generations to come. Think of it this way. Yeshua said there would be the greatest and the least in the kingdom. Those are his words, not mine. Anyone who breaks one of the least of the commandments and teaches others to do the same will be called the least in the kingdom of heaven. But whoever practices and teaches the commands will be called great in the kingdom of heaven. His words, not mine. And then he said, if our righteousness doesn't surpass that of the Pharisees, we wouldn't even make it into the kingdom. Again, his words, not mine. Yeshua's words here tell us the Pharisees won't be in the kingdom. Why? Yeshua tells us why in Mark chapter 7 and Matthew 23. They knew the law, but they didn't live it. They willfully chose their own traditions over the law. So, he makes a distinction from those who didn't follow the law from those who rejected the law. Showing what? The Pharisees turned a deaf ear to the law, just like we see in Proverbs 28:9. They were well aware of it, but rejected it just the same. So they turned a deaf ear to the law to get what their itching ears wanted. Their feel-good, self-righteous traditions. That's what their itching ears wanted to hear. To serve Yahweh on their terms, not his. Just like Paul warned would become more dominant, and we see still to this day. Do you turn a deaf ear to the law, like the Pharisees did, to hear what your itching ears want to hear? Turning a deaf ear to the law makes your prayers an abomination. It's like putting one's hand over their ears, refusing to listen to the law. What does the writer of Psalm 119 say about these people? Psalm 119, verse 53. Hot indignation seizes me because of the wicked who forsake your law. Hot indignation because of who? Those who don't know about your law? No. Those who've never heard about your law? No. Those who don't understand your law? No. Those who forsake your law. Meaning they hear it, they get it, but they reject it. That's rebellion. To know what's given, but refuse to follow it. Please understand, Yahweh doesn't take rebellion lightly. In fact, he takes it seriously. No, he takes it very seriously. He takes it so seriously that he likens it to the sin of divination, as seen here in 1 Samuel chapter 15, verse 23. Think about that. He likens rebellion to that of divination. Now, let's not forget about those Yeshua said will say, Lord, Lord. But then he tells them, I never knew you. Showing what? Their prayers, at the very least, weren't being heard. But we actually know their prayers were an abomination to him. How do we know? They called him Lord, but obviously didn't make him Lord by walking in submission to his ways. He called them workers of lawlessness, showing they turned a deaf ear to the law. He's talking about Judgment Day here, after Yeshua's death and resurrection, and he calls them workers of lawlessness, showing all generations are to walk in accordance to the law, as noted in the verses earlier, and how Yeshua stated in Matthew 5. How many people are praying to Yahweh, not realizing all their prayers are an abomination to him because they refuse to hear the way he wants them to walk, the way he's always wanted his children to walk? Deuteronomy chapter 5, verse 29. Oh, that their hearts would be inclined to fear me and to keep all my commands always, so that it might go well with them and their children forever. Forever. Not until Messiah comes. Forever. So, are your prayers an abomination to Yahweh? An abomination. That's a powerful word, referring to something detestable. It's hard to imagine he calls people's prayer that. I know. However, that's what your prayer is to him if you reject his instructions. If one intentionally refuses to have anything to do with Yahweh's commands, their prayers become detestable to him. Let that sink in. You can't go to someone making requests all the while ignoring everything they say to you. You wouldn't dare do that to someone. Yet, when you continue to ignore the instructions Yahweh has given us, but continue to submit your requests to him, it's no different. You'll never impress Yahweh with your words. He's not looking for fancy prayers. He's looking for humble, obedient hearts. And when I say he's looking for, I mean he's looking for. 2 Chronicles 16:9. For the eyes of Yahweh range throughout the earth to strengthen those whose hearts are fully committed to him. Are you fully committed to him? If you are, then you're fully committed to his commands, his ways. Thus, what we read in 1 Peter chapter 3, verse 12. For the eyes of the Lord are on the righteous, and his ears are attentive to their prayer. But the face of the Lord is against those who do evil. His ears are attentive to their prayer. Why would Peter say this? Because of what else we read in Proverbs. Proverbs 15:29. Yahweh is far from the wicked, but he hears the prayer of the righteous. So, who are the righteous? Those who follow after Yeshua by walking in his ways, as Paul said in Romans 2:13. For it is not those who hear the law who are righteous in God's sight, but it is those who obey the law who will be declared righteous. But even in that, following the law in and of itself won't save you, as Paul also said in Romans 3:20. Therefore, no one will be declared righteous in his sight by observing the law. Rather, through the law, we become conscious of sin. Salvation comes through faith. But, as Paul says right here, the law reveals what sin is to us, which is why he said we uphold the law just 11 verses later. We're to uphold it. As I've made clear in multiple teachings, no one is saved by observing the law. We come in by faith. We stay in through obedience. Scripture tells us true faith produces obedience. John 14:15. If you love me, you will obey what I command. 1 John 2:4. The man who says, I know him, but does not do what he commands is a liar, and the truth is not in him. Don't make your prayers an abomination to him. Don't make him say to you, depart from me, you worker of lawlessness. Please rethink your position on his words of instruction that he gave for all generations. For all generations. Well, that's all I have. Think about it. Pray about it. But more than anything, be a doer of the word and not a hearer only. Until next time, shalom.